Good evening. Welcome to another edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. My name is Leon Jones, and tonight I'm going to talk about the American delusions of reality, or the American delusions toward reality. And it all starts off with that acronym that I created called LED. If you don't know what LED stands for, this is something I made up. And if this acronym goes around YouTube, know they got it from the 401 Talk Zone radio show. I conjured up this acronym a couple of weeks ago called LED because we have a number of Americans who really don't understand how the real world works. Now, LED stands for lies, emotion, assumptions, and of course, you can delusion and deception. And Americans really live in that bubble. And one of the reasons why they have trouble understanding the real world is because they don't want to accept the real world. Now, if you look at the Democrats right now, people like the Jasmine Crockett's, the Hakeem Jeffries, they are grandstanding. People like Joy Behar. Joy Behar the other day said, Republicans don't come on her show because they're scared. Nobody's scared. Scared of you. You don't have any power. You could lose your job today. Men have all the power, but you do have a number of men out here. Now, here's a delusion. And I see it a lot with black women, and now I'm seeing white women. Well, some videos that I've seen where black women are trying to square up against a man. So when she gets the shit knocked out of her, you get the simp ass nigga, he's coming over there taking up for her. Well, that's the problem. And here's what you guys need to do for the simp guys. You need to bring you a baseball bat or something, particularly if he's 2 times bigger than you. Because I saw a video where a woman squared up on a man who was a black woman. He decked her, and then this dude came over and hit him 5 times. Well, had it been me, I'd have gone for his legs, tried to knock him down, and I would have hit him in the head. Hit him in the head a couple of times, so his skull would have been fractured or something like that. Yeah, it's violent, but what I'm learning, you have to give the Democrats that kind of beating. Because, ever since the Charlie Kirk death, there are a lot of conspiracies going around on which type of gun did he use? Oh, was that the shooter? And see, when you have media and the news, there are a lot of things going on. Now, you have a number of individuals on the left, and shout out to Will Johnson. He was down there in Texas, and I'm talking about this King's protest, not our King's protest. First of all, for you individuals out there protesting, I know you're getting paid. All of the signs are pretty much they're being made. George Soros is funding all of your protests. We all know it. Many of you, when you're asked questions about why are you protesting, you really don't know, and you're repeating the same talking points that you hear on CNN and the rest of the liberal networks. Now, the problem is these networks know how to get the ignorant people, but stupid people in this country are picking up the microphone and they're speaking and they have no idea what they're talking about. And if you get people like Jasmine Crockett, Ilhan Omar, Mamdani, and Mamdani could actually win the state of the city of New York. But you have a lot of people who are voting for government. Now, all these protests that are happening, you have a number of people who are on the left who believe Trump is using Project 2025. Well, there is no Project 2025. Project 2025 was something written by the Heritage Foundation. You see, this is why a lot of Americans got lead in their ass. Lead is lies, emotion, assumption, and deception slash delusion. And when they have that lead in their ass, they end up with immature minds. And what it is most of us in America, we're not Europe. Europe is a little bit more open and sexually, because I've been to Europe. Well, when you have all of these protests, the No Kings protests, first of all, we haven't had a king in decades. There is a system of checks and balances. On paper, I understand. However, what individuals don't understand is how the real world works, and they don't want to see the truth. Okay, we will call somebody who's not attractive pretty to make them feel good. Well, even men, we will tell a man just because he has money, oh, you can party with me all day. But in reality, okay, when it comes to the social issues, a number of women don't even know men. They only know what men have. And men, once all their resources are used up, men become useless utilities. And when it comes to sex in this country, it's not about love, a lot of it. It's a commodity. This is why you have a number of women who are living in the old 1960s, 1970s free love, and they're giving it away. And the funny thing about a number of women is they believe that if a man has standards and preferences, he's a misogynist. But when a woman has unrealistic expectations, she's a feminist. And they believe that feminism makes them supreme. Well, ladies, you got what you got because men gave it to you. And see, in the black community, it's a matriarchy. But see, the reason why it's not working, because in order to have a matriarchy, a true matriarchy, men would have to be under women. But how is that going to happen? Women don't have the power. I mean, you don't see women going out there on the front lines. You may hear some of the black women, oh, well, we're out here on the front lines. No, you're out there for yourselves. Because back in the days, when Ice Cube said, I want a contract for Black America, he was on Fox Soul and got disrespected. And a black woman said, well, you don't have anything for us. You black, aren't you? No. The problem is, and this is the truth, a number of black men and black women are split. And I don't think they should be with each other if they don't share the common goals. That's with anybody. And then what I'm looking at for these No Kings protests is I did see a video where you had one black dude. I actually saw it last night. He was out there telling this white boy that he should be at the protest, but this black man or this young black dude was the only black dude out there in front of a bunch of whites. Now, I'm not going to say that white men are smart, particularly the liberal ones. You have a number of stupid white people. In fact, because white people occupy or have a higher population than black people, they're more poor white people. They're more dumb white people. And you can see it with all these protests. I don't see too many blacks. And shout out to the blacks that aren't out there protesting. But I got to ask, why are you all protesting? Do you all have jobs? And then you get a number of individuals. They talk about how bad the job market is out here. Well, there are a lot of jobs out here. But see, particularly with most of the women, they're used to having government jobs. Why? because they've excelled in the government jobs based off of affirmative action and DEI. And I'm talking about all women in general who work for the government. Because as a black man trying to work for the government, and even in some of the engineering fields, I have to compete with women. Even though I'm a veteran, I might have more education than they have, but because DEI is still out there. Make no mistake. In fact, I was looking at one company and they actually hired a black man to be the DEI officer. So it's still out there, believe it or not. But in the end, this is what you have to understand. There's no way of getting around it. The real world, particularly here in America, is competitive. I mean, I'll tell you something else that's delusional. Dawn Staley, she used to coach my old school of Temple University, before she went down to South Carolina. Well, she had something out there about when is a woman going to coach the NBA? Well, you have the WNBA. You're being subsidized by the NBA. In other words, the NBA tickets cost a lot more than the WNBA tickets, so that wealth can be redistributed, or they have a redistribution to the WNBA, because the WNBA is an inferior product. I mean, once Caitlin Clark got in there, she was besmirched. She had a number of people that didn't like her. But she is the one that uplifted the WNBA. But you have a number of black women who are very jealous and insecure. Bottom line is, you had somebody there that you don't have to bow down to, but look at for the marketing purposes. And see, what a number of women don't understand, this is where the lies come in. Men still objectify you. We don't care about how many degrees you have. We don't care about your jobs. We don't care about anything you have. Number one, you're not going to share it with us. And number two, we don't have access to it either. And number three, we only look at you for your outside, most of us. Because this day and age, most of you women are already used up. And it's funny when you have the Kendra G shows and some of these other shows on, when you have women speak. And it's not just the black women, it's a number of white women out there. Because I'm saying the two most stupid women out here are black women and white women. Now, you have the Asian women and you have the Hispanic women. Some of them are trying to come up and be like the black woman and white woman. Now, I'm not saying all black women and white women are stupid, but a number of them are. Because they're getting behind a microphone, they're speaking, and they have no idea of what they're talking about. They're getting on social media like Facebook, YouTube. They're getting on these panels, and they're just running their mouths. They're going out here, number one, on one hand, they want to try to beat a man, but on the other hand, they're trying to beat a woman. This is why I say when it comes to women, a number of them don't know what they want. But if you look at most of them, many of them are hideous. I know I was coming out of Dollar Tree, right up here on 82nd Street here in Indianapolis, in the Castleton area. And I saw this black woman. Real hideous. Pink wig, earrings in her ear. I don't know how many earrings she had, and a bull nose. Now, when I see all that, that's a symbol to walk the other way. Now, you have to ask the question, And then you have the men with the man buns as well. Are the men and women switching places? And see, this is what the Democrats want. And the Democrats, what they do, they tell people a bunch of lies. You look at Kamala Harris. When she was on television, she couldn't speak a lick, but the media tried to cover up for her. And Kamala Harris, she believes that she can run in 2028. I'm going to say, and this is one thing women have to understand. Men will give you some things of what you want, but you can't have everything. It's still a man's world. And, you know, looking in the so-called black manosphere, I remember back in 2015, 2016, I actually go back to when I first signed up for YouTube. I didn't make any videos, but I had an account. I should have. But you had people like Doug Tishon and Barbarossa out there, Sandman. Well, shout out to Machismo TV because he puts up some of Barbarossa and some of Doug Tishon's videos. That was Manosphere 1.0. And Brother Tito, shout out to him, he was also part of that. He had people like Black Ram. Nowadays, those brothers, they've kind of left the so-called manosphere. Now, I never really participated in the manosphere because, particularly the black manosphere, because ever since 2019, the manosphere has been drifting, in my opinion, further and further left. Why? Because I remember this used to be a space where it was for men to bring out what they were going through. Now you got too many men who have women on the panel. This is why I don't do panels anymore. And when you have a number of women on the panel, everything has to be watered down. I know when I went to a safety class yesterday, we had one woman in the class. Now, when that woman left, that man was being a man, cussing like a sailor. When she came back, he started simping. We've got a lady in the room. And, well, first of all, if women want to be equal, because you hear a number of women cussing like sailors themselves. In fact, they act, particularly the real poor women, the poor black women, and even some of the poor Hispanic and the poor white women. It's generally the individuals that come up from real bad backgrounds. And just because you have degrees and you have decent jobs, so many individuals still carry that ghetto or that trailer park mindset with them. Why? Because you can get the person out of the ghetto or the trailer park, but you can't get the trailer park or the ghetto out of them. And they really believe in their minds that they're tough. They're saying something. This is the delusion. This is the lies. Now, I'm not going to get into, I will get into it because you have some women who are old beasts, look like beach balls, but they try to call themselves BBWs. No. My version of a BBW is a voluptuous woman with a pear shape. What I've seen with some of these individuals, there was a black rapping woman out there. I don't even know her name, but she thought she looked good. I mean, she had gut hanging all over the place. I mean, she looked real hideous, had no shape. And when you have no shape, you can barely breathe. That's fat. But somebody told her she looked good. and on some of these dating sites. And I can tell you this, going even back into the 2000s, you had a number of hideous people. And see, this social media really started way back in the early 2000s when we had, and people don't know this, we had Yahoo Messenger. It's one of the first ones out. We had AOL Messenger. And then we went for half a decade until we got MySpace. We have individuals who don't know how to communicate. That's the problem. And I hear a number of sites or content, number of individuals talk about, well, men don't know how to communicate with women. That's true. But if men try to communicate with a woman, it's called a creep. That's true. And see, the reason why I'm doing this video tonight is I want you all to see the lies, the emotion, the assumptions, and the deceit, deception, and delusion. Because this is where a lot of Americans are today. I mean, you have individuals who are at the bottom of the barrel who basically don't give a damn about their own lives, but they really believe that they're as good as somebody who's established themselves. You have a number of guys, a number of gals who reek with body odor, reek with bad breath. They think they look good. Somebody lied to them. But see, Americans live the lie, and this is where that emotion comes in because they accept it. And one of the reasons why we have a hard time dealing with the people on the left, because the left, they're very delusional. See, they see that everybody that doesn't agree with their point of view or their alternative lifestyles, they're looking at people who are traditional as abnormal, and they look at themselves as normal. Well, for the most part, here in America, believe it or not, we still have some traditions here. Some of the traditions, you look at the military. The Navy still wears their bell bottoms. You look at the Army. We have a lot of traditions here. And you had the left in this country, and this is what's not being stated. You had a number of the so-called commies themselves, they were ripping down statues. But you had people like King Leopold over in Africa chopping heads off for the Queen. Statues as high as Mount Everest. That's just an exaggeration, but high statues. People like King Leopold worshipped. And this is true about the black man. You have every other race of man out here. They can make mistakes. They'll still be respected. Let a black man make mistakes. He's not respected at all. And if he gets something, he's not respected by a number, use it by a number of black women. Because see, a number of black women are trying to compete with the black man. That's the problem. And see, a number of black women have gotten the batteries on their back from the white man. You know, we talk about the Bible, how the white man made up things in that Bible. Well, a number of black women who go to church, they take the scriptures, really don't practice that scripture. They actually make something up in that scripture. And they use that scripture as an excuse for bad behavior. That's what they do. That's the delusion. And you have a lot of Americans who think like that. Again, when Will Johnson was out there trying to have a conversation with Some of the people that were protesting, well, the protesters couldn't answer his question. So what do? They, they were name calling. And this is what they do. When you start cursing me out, name calling, you already lose the argument. And this is what's wrong with a number of people who are on the left. I mean, they think they have all the education. They think they're superior. You know, you have people like Roland Martin out here. Roland Martin. You have people like Don Lemon. These are Generation X black men. And a lot of Generation X black men, they're sorry as hell. Ricky Smiley. You have people like D.L. Hughley. Now, D.L. Hughley used to be funny. But see what it is, you have a number of people, even Robert De Niro, these washed up actors. I'm the only actor right now that's got some sense. I'm in John Voight. He's okay. Matthew McConaughey, he's okay, and he should get a part in Yellowstone. And he's also written books, and he's also traditional. He comes from Texas. So you have a lot of people in these blue states. And speaking of blue states, it's EBT. So watching this black woman on, and you know, you get videos up there with people who are disenchanted with America because you have a number of people who are against this administration for cutting EBT cards. Well, they're not really cutting EBT cards. They want you to work for the EBT cards. But you had this black woman up there who says, well, you're cutting my EBT card, so I'm going to have to steal something. So this is the kind of emotion that people have. And this is why I can always apply the L.E.A.D theory. If you don't know what L.E.A.D stands for, it's lies, emotion, assumption, delusion, deception. That's what L.E.A.D stands for. And L.E.A.D is all over. It's another term I made up. Hear somebody on YouTube use it. Talk about 5 power conferences of society. And if you need to know what they are, or if you don't know what they are, I'll tell them to you. Because this is the culture right here. The 5 power conferences of society equals culture. Your culture starts with your government, your jobs, your religion, your education, and your media. This is where the liberals have spread their cancer, and this is where all of the propaganda comes from. Because that's basically what you have. They've become propagandists for ignorant people. And this is why I say people who don't understand how this country works, this is when they start saying, well, it's all white people's fault. It's all black people's fault. Bottom line, it's your fault because you don't understand how things work in this country. America is a very competitive place. And capitalism is it's an economic system. And I will tell you, there are areas of capitalism that need to be improved. But in retrospect, capitalism is the best system in the world. Why? Because capitalist people, they can make money. Now, are you going to use other people to make money? Absolutely. Now, some people might think it's slavery, but you know, I've heard the Democrats say, well, if you get the migrants out here, who's going to pick our corn? Who's going to work our gardens? Well, you go out and work your own garden. And see what the left is doing, they're always creating a situation. Because see, when you don't really have anything going for yourself, like people like Jasmine Crockett. And the only reason why she got that seat is because Eddie Bernice, I think her name was Eddie Bernice Johnson. Eddie Bernice Johnson. She passed away. She had that seat for 30 years. There was another one down there named Sheila Jackson Lee. And then there's another black woman. I don't know if anybody took her seat. Stephanie Tubbs Jones. She was out of Ohio. Well, the bottom line is we have too many people in this country who don't know. They don't know anything, even when they go to college. College is a land of propaganda as well. But when you don't have an idea of what's going on, you're going to believe everything. And believe it or not, you have kids out here who go to college and they come back from college and they try to tell their parents how wrong they are. That's the propaganda machine. And really, they're going after the children because the children don't know any better. Just like you heard that song by some sweet men out there, "We're coming for your children." That Rainbow Choir from San Francisco, they are coming for your children. And see, this is one of the reasons why I believe they deleted Charlie Kirk, because his vote was working with Trump, because you have children and they can be influenced even by the right. Well, his influence propelled a number of the young ones who would ordinarily vote Democrat to vote Republican. And now it's going to happen again, particularly men, because the Democrats have lost men for the most part for good, particularly the young men. Now, when more of the baby boomers and more of the Gen Xers start to die off, the Democratic Party, when it comes to men, are finished. And when it comes to jobs, women don't want to hear this. Again, with Dawn Staley. It's funny for women, they don't want us in their spaces. They certainly want to co-opt our spaces. That's a big problem. And to me, that's where we have some issues. Men need to have their own spaces, and that's what's wrong with the so-called manosphere. I mean, when you let people like early things into this space, and men start falling off for her, I don't care if it was Crimson Cure, or I don't care if it's Pink Pill Lessons. They get all their information. These women, number one, they're looking for clicks. And number two, they get their information from men. There was an individual by the name of Ashley Wells from Chicago. Remember, she got up here and she grew pretty quick to 12,000 subscribers. She's not up here anymore, but she was a single mom. A child out of wedlock, was in the Navy. She got on Minister Jack's show, and Minister Jack said something, and she ran for the hills. And see, when you live under the system of L.E.A.D, lies, emotion, assumption, and deception, it's easy for you to run and not face the truth. And this is really what's going on with a number of people. They lie to make themselves feel important. I'm using the word feel. I don't like to use the word feel, but that's how the individuals under the L.E.A.D system, what they do. It's all about their feelings instead of really what's going on. And in the real world, you have to be able to navigate yourself through the ups and downs, and you cannot have it all. And reality is, everybody is not going to start on the same level, and you can't force it. It's just like diversity. When we talk about DEI, it's nothing wrong with diversity, But when you force it and the diversity becomes fake because you're putting individuals in because of their race, because of their gender, and not their qualifications, well, you just water down society. And then when you tell them that they have to accept this person because of a circumstance that's not particularly all white, well, now you just lied. You lied, and that's what it is. All of these, all of these movements out here, and even the Pink Panther, not the Pink Panther, the Black Panther movement. I forgot the guy's name, but people don't know the guy that actually started the Black Panthers. Something you all need to know right now, particularly your black people. I can't remember his name, and you can look it up for yourself. But do you know who he co-founded the Marxist communist movement? Did you all know that? And see, this is another thing too, because a number of individuals out here live the lies, they live the emotion, the assumption and delusion, deception. They don't look up anything. They don't understand history. Because just because something hasn't been told to you doesn't mean that it didn't exist. There is a lot. No, it's not Huey Newton. It was what was that? That Seals guy? It was Bobby Seals. Thank you, Bobby Seals. You look him up, Bobby Seals. You have a lot of people that, oh yeah, he started the Black Panther movement. Bet you not one black out there read anything about Bobby Seals. He was the co-founder of the Marxist communist movement, along with the Black Panther Party. People don't know their history. And when they don't know their history, this is when they get dumbfounded out of it. This is when they get the shit shocked out of them. And then you have people like me who actually read, who tell you the truth. I'm going to be looked at as a sellout. Well, first of all, I'm not selling out to anybody. I'm just giving you the information because I read about it before I come up here on YouTube. This is why I can speak with no notes in front of me. See, I don't use clips like a number of individuals do. Why? Because you have to play the whole clip, not part of a clip. And this is what the news media does. They play part of a clip and they cut out the parts that they don't want you to hear. Why? Because the part that you want to hear, it falls into the propaganda that the left or even the right believes. And that's the laziness. When you allow the mainstream media to do the thinking for you, or a professor to do the thinking for you, you're always going to be stupid. This is why when I hear the term white supremacy, to me, yes, is there racism out here? Racism is always going to be out, just like crime. So the bottom line is you have to find ways to decrease it. I mean, in the old, well, the 1350, where blacks are 13% of the population and commit 50% of the homicides. Well, where did that come from? Because if blacks did commit 50% of the homicides and we're 13 or 14% of the country, which blacks are doing it? Because let's say we have 40 million black people. 40 million of black women, 40 million of black men. Well, if you say 13% of black people, let's say 13, round it up to 14%. So we make up 40 million people. But you say 40 million black people, and you say half the black people, 50% of them commit crimes. Well, you have to look at that number. That's another deception. That is because if you're saying 40, then you're going to say half the black men and half the black. So that means out of 40%, well, out of 40 million rather, half the black people commit all of the homicides. Now, there is black on black crime, but I don't believe that number is that high. It could be higher with white folk because they commit crimes as well. And some of their crimes are mass shootings. Because even though you had the individuals who were part of the alternative society, they're still white. They're going out here committing a number of mass shootings out here. People aren't looking at that. And see, that's another thing that I hear too much. They're putting out numbers, too many statistics. Well, events change every day. So what you have to do is look at the trends. But like black women fell for this back in the 1990s and early 2000s. Well, all you niggas are in jail. Oh, we are? Well, at one time, it was right around 905,000 individuals who were black were in jail. Now, here's the real statistic. Black men made up 40, the population of black men who were in jail made up 40% of the inmates in jail. That's the real number, not 50% of black people are in jail, because that's a lie. But even greater than that, how many white men are in jail? How many Hispanic men? Hispanics are right behind black people, but even with their numbers, if you look at who's committed the most murders, who stole a lot, and I'm not being prejudiced here, but it is true. It is white people. They conquered lands in Africa. This is why you have a number of African countries that have the European type of culture. You look at what happened in some of the islands there, like the Caribbean. France dominated it. You look at Mexico. Mexico used to be known as New Spain because in Mexico, they had the Aztecs, which were dark skinned. You had the Indians here. Now, was some of the land stolen here? Probably was. But see, we don't know that for sure. This is what we've been told. Now, there was the Louisiana Purchase, yes. But if you really look at everything, when I hear the term white supremacy, I don't use it. Why? Because when I hear blacks complain about whites, then that means the blacks are surrendering to white supremacy. That means they're inferior to whites. No, I'm not inferior to the white man. Now, does racism exist? Yes. However, when I work for white people, I'm not afraid to tell them where to go. Why? Because there are a number of white people who have less than me. And during the days of Black Wall Street, there were a number of white people, your white trash, your lower class whites that the upper class whites didn't want to have anything to do with. In fact, what we call racism, white people call classism. Because if you're a lower class white person, the upper class white people, they don't want to deal with you either. And when we talk about having babies out of wedlock, I know we put everything on the black women and even the Hispanic women. But you have a lot of white women who have babies out of wedlock. Why? Because most of the individuals who are very, very poor, they come from either the trailer park or they come from the urban areas. Those are the food stamps. And you have more white people on welfare than you have black people. And this is not simping. It's just true because now I'm going to give you the reality. It's because you have more white people who have basically they're the highest population. I don't use the term per capita because that's not fair either. Well, you have a higher percentage. Well, you can't compare that because the overall number is different. Yes, I could say there are a number of Black women who have children out of wedlock, but there are a number of white women who have children out of wedlock too. And I've seen some hideous white women out here. And see, I live in an area where I see white women with tattoos, smoking. I see white women with bull noses, bunch of earrings. I've even seen someone with fake eyelashes too, just like the Black women, and they wear a lot of masks. So, I tell you, when you come to this channel, I'm going to give you the full information. But here's the difference though. When it comes to relationships, I believe this: more Black women follow, I'm not saying white women don't follow feminism, because I really don't know who actually created feminism. Because I hear Shirley Chisholm, they were part of the feminist movement, probably in the Black arena, and then Susan B. Anthony. But if you look at where the feminism really starts, it starts from the Black and white women. And most of your career oriented and your women with education, because I always hear, well, we're going to get degrees. With a number of you women, particularly Black women, that's right, particularly you Black women. Of course, there's some white women too. You're getting laid off because your easiest access into the workforce was for the government. Because a number of Black women don't want to work in the private sector because they will get fired in the private sector. Why? Because I work for the government, because you don't have as much leeway in the private sector as you do in the government sector. Why? Because in the private sector, you're driven by making money. And if you don't make profit, your labor, which are the employees, they're going to get laid off. You have to be able to produce something. And that is the problem with a number of African American women. And this is why they thought they were better than Black men, because they were getting all kinds of goodies. Now that the EBT cards are getting cut, Section 8 is getting cut. Now, because they depended on the government, and I'm not just saying a number of Black women, it's a number of women in general. And we just have this dependency mindset. And that's what the Democrats see. When you have the Democrats in power, they really don't have any policies. The Democrats always look at everything when it comes to fairness. But in real life, there is no fairness. Because if they really want fairness, why don't they go and look at the child support laws and the divorce laws? Yes, are they getting better? Slowly. But the change is still not where it should be. I mean, if you live in California, like when I was watching Greg Mathis, he was crying. His wife was going to divorce him. Now, he talks about how tough he is, Greg Mathis. Now, he's a Democrat. Of course, I don't have anything against him. And I like Judge Joe Brown as well. They were going back and forth. But Greg Mathis lives out there in Hollywood. And when you live out there in Hollywood, you have a different kind of mindset. They talk about helping brothers out. If you were really helping brothers out, and you're talking about fathers, Greg Mathis said, well, fathers get upset with their sons because they turn sweet. Well, we got to understand this. Yes, you love your children, but you want your sons to be men. Too many men out here today are not men, they're males. And a number of them, they take on a woman philosophy. And this is why you can't have a conversation with them. Because number one, they don't understand what's going on. Just like, Black people when it came to Charlie Kirk. Many of them don't even know who Charlie Kirk was. And you don't even have you have a number of white people who don't even know who Charlie Kirk was. But see, when you come from the arena of the left, that's all the left does. The left wants, they talk about body positivity. Well, if your health is fucked up, you got to do something about your body. I mean, if you look like a bowling ball or a big ass orange out there, and you keep putting that fork in your mouth, and then you're gonna come out saying you look good, a man love, no, that man's desperate. He wants to see you at midnight, and then when the sun rises, he's out of there because he's desperate. A lot of guys are thirsty because if they really wanted you, they'd bring you out in public. They don't want you. They want to drop jizz in you. That's all they want. And see, I understand how America works. I understand that the truth is the truth. Reality. I understand that going out looking for a job. You can't look for a job when you're at home. I know. I was out of work for 6 weeks. And I didn't stay at home. I was making phone calls, meeting people. It's a job in itself. Now, I did have extra money saved up, so I didn't fall behind on the bills. But bottom line, I understand how the real world works, and I understand that I was going to get rejected. And when it comes to rejection, I hear women saying men can't deal with rejection. Yeah, men can deal with it better than you women can. You women, what you want, when I talk about the struggle of, see, you want the struggle of, you call it struggle of, if a man is out of a job, a man is broke, a man's got a lot of children, but you expect the man to accept you when you have a bunch of babies, when you have no job, when you have no education. See, the problem with genders is you got too many double standards, particularly on a woman's side, and it benefits women. And when something benefits women, they want to keep it as benefiting women. If something benefits men, women want to come in so they can alleviate what benefits men because they're going to tell you it's not fair. And this is an issue that we still haven't dealt with because you got a lot of simps out here. And when I'm talking about simps, talking about in every race. And America has created a lot of simps. They've created men to bow down to women. And this is why, again, a number of women can get away with hitting men because they're going to have other men on the side of a woman. They don't say it was not nice to hit a woman, even if she hits you. See, that's the problem. We all grew up with that, particularly as Gen Xers and baby boomers. And we let women get away with a lot of shit that we shouldn't let them get away with. And now we're going to go out there. Some of us are going to try to put that cape on. But you're going to come to the wrong person and they're going to pull something out there. It's just like that man in Detroit. Well, sister said something to the baby daddy. Baby daddy just got angry. Called her brothers. Brothers came on over there. And after a few minutes, that woman had 2 brothers. They were alive, and then they were both deceased because they messed with the wrong guy. And that's the issue. I mean, when you live in lies, emotion, when you live in assumption and deceit, you follow that, and you're always going to be disappointed. And I just want to say this to blacks. Again, shout out to a number of you that aren't out there protesting. Stay home. And if these Mexicans, and I don't have anything against the Hispanics. I mean, you have Individuals going out here, running cars in the ICE, shooting at ICE. They want to unmask ICE, but yet nobody wants to unmask these Antifas. That's the problem. ICE is doing their job. And the reason why they want to keep these illegals in, because it's bodies for the Democrats. And this is what's going on in the government now. The Republicans, I'm glad they're standing firm, because the old Republicans would have been, and guess what? Things would have been the same. That's why Republicans didn't win much either, because they never changed. Bottom line now is because of Trump, and call it Project 2025 if you want. It's not Project 2025. He is following the law. It is his job. You got all these Democrats out there in Portland, Oregon, Chicago. They don't want the government to help them out. Now you got some dumb black people in Memphis saying, well, the National Guard shouldn't be here. I'm going to tell you what, all you dumbass niggas out there who don't want the National Guard to help preserve your city, you should kill yourself then, because that's what's going to happen anyway. You're going to kill each other anyway. They're trying to help you preserve your community, but you don't want them out there. Because for the most part, you want to know what the reality is? People don't like Trump, but Trump, he was a Democrat. Trump hung out with a lot of black people. He helped Jennifer Hudson. I know who Jennifer Hudson is. When her brother got killed, some of her family members got killed. Trump put her up in one of his hotels for free. Trump hung around Jesse Jackson. Oh yeah, Trump donated money to Jesse Jackson's campaign. But a lot of people forgot about that. They forgot about it because Trump was on their side. Trump is just thinking of America first. And when I seen these protests and no kings, they're no kings because they want to be kings and queens. Because they believe that they're smarter. They believe that they know more than we do. They believe that I shouldn't say no more because that's equal to being smarter. They believe that they're self-righteous, but they're the evil ones. These individuals, I'm going to tell you, left, they don't like blacks, they don't like Hispanics, they don't like children, they don't like families, they don't like men, they like evil, but they hide under the media. That's the problem. But you have people who are scared to defect. Because see, one thing, if you betray another lefty, they're going to kill you. Because you know who the real fascists are and anarchists are? It's the left. You want to know who the real violent people are? They're the left. Now, why are they so violent? Because they can't get their way and they want to intimidate by using violence. They don't want ICE around. See, Joe Biden let as many immigrants in as he could. And there's still a lot of immigrants here in this country. Have a number of our people getting killed by immigrants. But again, the media is not telling you that. Why? Because the media is really the arm of the Democratic left. And I'm not saying all the Democrats are bad, but it's the people who are on the left wing of the party, like your Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and your Bernie Sanders. The hell is Bernie Sanders? He's 85 years old. I mean, you got guys who are decrepit running, whereas they don't have any new blood. I mean, you got Gavin Newsom. It's 2025, and he's trying to gear up for 2028. If Gavin Newsom is the best you got in the Democratic Party, Bye-bye Democratic Party, because he's already screwed California. Everybody knows it. He's trying to mimic Trump. Everybody knows it. Again, just like I said before, you got Pritzker out there. I believe because Trump is utilizing the law, and you have a number of judges out here who are activist judges who were basically picked by Joe Biden or still in power. They're trying to block everything that Trump does. And Trump's got Supreme Court on his side because the Supreme Court is the Supreme Court of the land. And you even have a couple of women who are voting with the Republican part of the Supreme Court. Yeah. Sotomayor. The one that's not is that DEI hire, Ketanji Jackson. She doesn't know anything about the Supreme Court. She never even tried a case in her life. She can't even spell case. But we have a lot of these Keishas who think they want all this power. And you have people like De Niro. Oh, well, T.C. James is doing a good job. Kissing her ass. And see, like I said, a lot of the black women, they really get their rhetoric from white men. Because you know what? A number of the black men, what they're doing, they're going out. They're not dealing with a number of sisters. Very few of them. Now, I will say this. When you look at the overall scope of things, even though that we're a small minority, I still believe that there are some decent sisters out there, believe it or not. About 85% of us still marry within our race. We may fuck around with some other races, but we still, for the most part, stay in our race. Same with white people. And the ones who complain about interracial relationships, particularly when it's blacks and whites, the white man. But here's the hypocrisy with the white man. He dates a lot of the Asians. That's what he does. He dates a lot of the Asians. And see, that's the whole problem. And see, even some of the individuals who come over here, they actually believe that the white man is God. They do. White man is not God. They have problems as well. You got just as many problems. You know, you got a number of, they talk about black people when it comes to messing around with sons and kids and everything. You got a number of, you look at Jerry Lee Lewis marrying his cousin. Don't forget, people forget that. You look at all the white trailer trash sleeping with each other. That's why they have a lot of problems out here too. This is why you got to be careful who you sleep around. Because that kid, that might not be your cousin. Well, it could be your cousin that you're sleeping with, rather. And that's the problem. And when you allow no boundaries, you have chaos. That's a fact. And in the end, when you look at the gist of everything, and I know it may seem all over the place with topics, but I'm just tying everything into this L.E.A.D formula that I create. L.E.A.D again is lies, emotion, assumption, perception, and delusion. That's what L.E.A.D is. And a lot of people have L.E.A.D in their asses. And the reason why they have L.E.A.D in their asses is because they're too lazy to actually look up anything. They don't have any confidence within themselves. That's why individuals can't talk to one another and they go through social media. I mean, I remember when the dating profiles were out. Individuals used to try to talk through email. They used to, and texting came out because individuals didn't want to hear the truth about themselves. And what they would do is they would text and they would call your names by texting. And with all this technology that has come abroad, what it's done, it's turned adults into children. That's what you have. This is why you have a lot of adults looking at their children as friends, and your children are looking at you as their friends. So the children put the adults same level as their friends. That's what they do. Why? Because adults haven't grown up. And this all starts from late baby boomers, Gen Xers, millennials, because they don't know how to communicate. So we're talking about all this Facebook now. No, you have to go back a long time when they had AOL, AOL Messenger, when they had Yahoo Messenger, Yahoo groups. Individuals started talking through emails and they stopped communicating with each other. Now I can understand why men don't want to approach women now because they're called creeps. And in the Me Too movement, one thing happens, what women do, they use the system. That's how they get away. They have the system where they can gain resources to give women this false sense of power. Because it's what it is. All women have a false sense of power. Not all women, but most of them do. This is why they can be disrespectful. And this happens in the Black community. That's why they're disrespectful. Because they know they have systems that work in their favor. Everybody knows it. But as a man, you got to know how to navigate through that shit. A lot of men don't know how to do it. And what's really stopping the men, I'm going to tell you what's stopping real men. It's the simps out here. The simps are the big problem. Want to know what a real war is? The real war when it comes to men is within men because we're fighting simps. You know why? Because the simps, they're trying to validate women so they can sleep with the women as well. Because they want to tell women what they want, what women want to hear. And what are they doing to women? They're lying to women. That's the lies. They're trying to feel what women feel. That's the emotion. They're trying to assume what they're telling women want to hear it. And then they're deceiving the women by planting a pipe dream in their head. See, there's the L.E.A.D formula right there. I tied it in there. And that's what the protest is doing too. The protest is for low information voters who don't understand anything about the real world. And these are individuals who have their hands out. These are your non-productive people. These are the ones who are protesting. They don't know anything about politics. And also, they're sore losers because their side didn't win. Had this been reversed and you had Biden and Kamala Harris, we would be going on with business as usual. And everybody knows it. But because it's Trump, they don't want to deal with Trump. It's because, see, what it is too, individuals are used to nothing happening. They're used to politicians just talking. Trump is doing exactly what he says he's going to do, and you don't have to agree with it. I would rather somebody tell me exactly what they're going to do, even if it's I don't agree with it, but that's the truth right there. Now, Trump is not God, he's not a king. So when it came to that protest, there was no reason to continue to protest. But again, these protests are organized. The communism, the socialism, it isn't working. And the Democrats are utilizing their same playbook. And you know what? We're getting closer and closer to 2026. We're about a year away. And the Democrats aren't making any headway. But what scares me is this. Yeah, we have all these crazy polls out there, but the generic polls don't mean anything. That's why they're generic. The bottom line is If Trump ever gets to cut the mail off, the mail-in ballots off, the Democrats are really through, which I believe he should. We're not under COVID anymore. Cut the mail-in ballots off, have early voting. That's what he should have. If he does that, I believe that's the fairest way. And getting the immigrants out here, getting ready for the 2030 census. See, the Democrats know 5 years from 2030. And what the 2030 census is going to do, it's going to change the congressional balance of the House there. Some states are going to gain seats and some states are going to lose seats. That's why I don't understand how Newsom has got ballot initiatives, well, mapping initiatives for the public to vote for when they've already done it. The Democrats already started it. But the bottom line is this. People have, like Joy Behar, Robert De Niro, a lot of these celebrities. They don't tell us how to vote. And celebrities, stay out of politics. You don't know anything about politics. Just make it worse. Because like I said, something else before I go to, it's been a rash of violence out here. So here in Indianapolis, I'm hearing a heck of a lot of violence. Why is that going on? Because people think they can do whatever they want to do. Alabama, they had some violence. South Carolina, Chicago. These are the individuals. A lot of people have mental health issues. And that's where Reagan, he was wrong for getting rid of all of those mental health hospitals. Used to be back in the days, if you were crazy, they put your ass in a straitjacket and take you right to the mental health ward until you got better. Well, we need to bring that back because we have too many unstable people living amongst us, working amongst us. And when they snap, they don't only kill themselves or hurt themselves, they hurt innocent people. And see, this is what's going on, particularly when you got women trying to take the mask off ICE. Now, if that ICE had slapped that woman, be all over the news. And see, that's what the Democrats are trying to do. They're trying to provoke fights so they can get on their propaganda machine and tell you how bad ICE is. When really, the people who are perpetrating all this violence, and I'm glad Antifa, they're a terrorist organization. And I believe the media should be charged with enabling terrorism. I think some of these politicians, see, it's not going to work until you make an example. Republicans have to make example. Put some of these people in jail. You saw what happened January 6th when some of the individuals who were Republicans, they spent 4 years in jail. Well, make some of these Democrats go to jail. And they're still trying to find out who really killed Charlie Kirk. I know that's still out there too, because there are a lot of conspiracy theories, which I do not believe in conspiracies. But what I do believe in is you had somebody out there who was very conservative. And see, the ones who have the most hate in them, the most prejudice, and the most racist are your liberals. I mean, I saw a video where a white woman did slap a black woman for voting for Trump. And she said, well, you're black. Well, so what? Yeah, I am black. So you're going to tell me how to think. And what I'm tired of, some white people trying to tell me how to think as a black person. That's their problem. And see, when we talk about white supremacy, no, white people aren't superior. They're really the inferior ones. But see, white people think that they're superior because only a few of their cronies in their race have the money. So they're living through the elites. Meanwhile, you have a number of white people who got less than I have, and they think because they have that white skin that they have all the white privilege. Well, that's not necessarily true. They will get privilege in their own little circles, but I guarantee you take some trailer park trash white person, they're not going to get it. They're not going to get a seat at the table with a money making white person or black person. And see, that's one of the reasons why some of these areas like Omaha, Nebraska, Rosewood, Florida, Black Wall Street, they went up in flames because of jealous white people. White people aren't the prize. Now, I'm not being prejudiced, but black people and even some Hispanic people, if you want to make it, you have to understand how the system works. Stop being a victim. And that's what the Democrats want you to be. They want you to be poor. They want you to be a victim. But they're lying by telling you you can be educated. You can be smart. It's all a lie. It's all a lie so they can control you. And they're going to control you with the jobs, with the government, with the education, with the media, and with the religion. The five power conferences of society. And if you're not aware, you're going to have your freedom taken from you at the drop of a dime. Why? Because, see, the liberals or the leftists know you're not very smart. They'll tell you you're smart to make you feel good, but they know you're not smart. That's a game that they're playing. Because in the end, they're not smart. Overall, when it comes to number of American people and politics and history, many American people are stupid. They don't know anything about history. They don't know anything about politics. They get their information from propaganda sources. And you have some on the right too. When you're extreme, that means you're not listening, you're not reading, you're not writing. All you're doing is being lied to. You're utilizing your emotions. You're assuming. Then you're in delusions, which you're being deceived. But when it comes to what's going on with this administration, the reason why Americans are in denial, because denial is another one. They're in denial of reality because they made poor decisions in their lives. And a number of Americans never grew up, like Joy Behars, yeah, even the ones with money. But everybody who's saying everything bad about Trump, and Trump is trying to keep us safe by removing criminals, well, the left, they're the individuals who are your real traitors. They're your real traitors. And in the end, most of the people on the left, they can't handle the truth. And they're living in the lies, the emotions, the assumptions, the deceit, the delusion, and in denial. Finally, they must understand the chickens have come home to roost, and we have no king. But the left, they're still going to utilize the same old playbook, thinking that's going to work. It's going to work to get the dummies on your side. And in the end, the left has Trump, delusion, syndrome. I call it Trump delusion syndrome because that's what they have. They're in denial. And in the end, it's the people on the left who have all the issues. They want chaos. They want anarchy. They want a lawless society. They're for the criminals. But in the end, left's power is increasing more and more as they get on television and lie. Because they're delusional. They're children. And when they don't get their way, the only thing that they can do is, resort to violence. And in the end, the left, the L, what's L stand for? Losers. And they will always be losers. Because they have what? In the end, I call it delusion. Because they don't like this president, but this president is doing everything that he says he's going to do. And he's not going above the law. He knows he has laws. As much as the left try to put him in jail, try to assassinate this man, this man is still standing strong. The left can't win because the left, they're afraid of Trump. Because he's making changes. And a lot of society here, they're afraid of change. They talk change, but it's much comfortable to leave things as they are. Why? Because a lot of them benefit because they didn't work for it. They got it given to them by the government. That's why the left loves government so much. Because government is very confiscatory. They take from success. The left hates success. And in the end, they're not about freedom. They don't like this president. Because why? They live in lies, emotion, assumption, delusion, denial, and deception. They can't handle the truth, reality. The left has Trump derangement syndrome. Again, the left has Trump derangement syndrome. And if you don't believe me, look at the chaos that the left wants to continue to put this country in. Because the left wants racism. They want stupid people. Got a lot of stupid people. The left claims the right for everything. I'm not saying the right is perfect, but the right didn't have Biden derangement syndrome. The right played everything out till it was time for them to get up, put the boots on the ground. The left is always going to try to cheat because nobody believes what the left says because the left has no policies. Everything is the same with them. Socialism, communism, Marxism, totalitarianism. The person standing in their way, this globalism, government rules, every aspect of our lives is President Trump. That's why they keep calling him a fascist, a Nazi. But they're the real fascists and Nazis. Because in the end, the left has Trump derangement syndrome. And that's my commentary for this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. If you like what I just presented, comment, share, and subscribe. And if you're looking for some STEM content, check out the QCIS channel. On that channel, I give you a daily dose of science, technology, engineering, and math. Now, here's where you can find me. For the 411 Talk Zone radio show, you can find me right here on YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Rumble, and Truth Social. And for the QCIS chat, you can find me on YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, and of course, LinkedIn. And let me say something about LinkedIn. Have a number of people trying to invite me to stuff. Okay. For you individuals who can't read, I put STEM videos on that channel. STEM videos. If you're going to talk to me about STEM, I will listen. I'll come on your panel. But if you're not part of the STEM action, don't send me any emails. I'm not selling quality control inspection services. I'm not doing any of that. So bottom line, respect my STEM content. You don't agree with it, don't send me anything because I will not answer you. And on this channel, for you individuals who are offended by what I said, check yourselves. Get yourselves right. Look at yourselves. And if you weren't offended, I'm not talking about you. And if you have jealousy, worry about what the next person has. That means you're not confident in yourself and you're inferior. So my message to you is be blessed for what you have. Don't worry about what you don't have. Always know that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. And if it doesn't apply, let it fly. But if the shoe fits, wear it. If you don't like the shoe, change it. And once again, thank you for listening to this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. Till next time, my name is Leon Jones. I want you all to have a wonderful and gracious evening. God bless you. I'm out.